Good morning, boys and girls. Just a brief update now. So I'm going through the back of the K28-2, just kind of cleaning things up. So now we're working on the oil supply, well, the oil port, let's just call it. I'll use that for the supply of the turbo and the sort of factory or stock oil pressure indicator. I don't know that it's telling the ECU anything more than sort of on off. And then I have an aftermarket gauge. Where did that go? This sort of sending unit that'll end up going over here. It's a rather big sending unit. I think so. This is a glow shift, or at least this came with or is used with glow shift. They're pretty inexpensive, reasonably functional gauge system. Also, otherwise often known as glow shit. I haven't had too many problems with glow shift stuff. So as I was saying, I think this was one of their older. There's going to be some piezoelectric something or other going on there. I think they make these smaller. In any case, as I was sort of arranging this sort of T, which is arguably too much going on for a single oil port, so I'll do, again, factory oil pressure sensor, aftermarket oil pressure gauge, and then off the end, oil supply to the turbo. And as I was, I was trying to arrange this guy so that we have as much clearance on this side of the engine as possible. I'm trying to have this thing not stick way out. It's really the only way I could make it fit. So in doing so, I removed this heat shield, and when you take these fasteners out, a bunch of oil came out, so that indicated to me that probably that gasket in there is leaking. Let me show you on the other, from the other engine, what that looks like on the inside. So this is the part that's against the cylinder head, and it has I don't have it in front of me. It has a sort of rubberized gasket going in there. So as you can see, these are just through holes that go into threaded blind holes in the head, so there's no reason why any oil should be in there, and if there is, it probably came from here. So I'll get that sorted, get a new gasket. I covered this up so I could clean it off, because this had a bunch of, and as you can see, it still does, a bunch anyway, it has a bunch of gunk on there, had even more, so I'm kind of cleaning this off before I pull this guy off, just so I can prevent, or I can reduce the amount of contamination that's going to get into the oil system. So I'm covered that up with a sandwich bag, and we'll pull this off, replace the gasket, put the heat shield on, and basically call it done. I'll use some. So I'm just kind of cleaning up those parts now. I'm using one of these ultrasonic cleaners. It's not running at the moment, but it just buzzes. Pretty slick little cleaner. If you haven't used one, you might think that it's going to work wonders. And it's helpful, but it's not gonna rock your fucking world. Like, it's not gonna change your life. It helps clean some parts, small parts like fasteners and brackets and stuff like that, but it's not gonna change your life. It's just a little bit helpful. Then what I do is I have used this Evapo-rust stuff, and so I'll use that for fastener heads and stuff like that. Bear in mind that it's gonna strip the rust off real good. And so I'll put like small parts in here. It'll strip the rust off real good, but bear in mind the coating that was on these fasteners, and that's why I only go after the head if I can help it. It's gonna take other stuff off too, so it'll come back if we can see. I just put these in probably half an hour ago or so. In the morning, that'll be just bright bare metal. It'll look great, but it'll also be uncoated, unplated, so it'll rust pretty readily. I don't really have a great solution for that. I kind of just use different types of spray paint, high temperature spray paint. So long as you don't mar up the head of the fastener, that should work pretty well to keep rust away for a little bit. But of course, you're inevitably going to mar the head of the fastener because you got to use some kind of a socket or a tool on the end of it. So I don't really know how well that's going to work. It's just, I guess it's a sort of trial period. So we'll see how that works. I just don't have the energy to put like an epoxy coating on fucking fastener heads. I just don't have that kind of energy. So these ones you can see I've done already. We'll see how they turn out. You know, they look good now, but they haven't had a wrench on them. So you put a wrench on them and that's probably going to mar it up. So we'll see how that turns out. That's all I got right now. So I'll finish cleaning up this guy, those exhaust ports. I'll clean up that surface, and I'll put basically the whole turbo assembly just bolted on there. Anyway, so I'll clean up these exhaust ports, clean up this surface, get a gasket on there, finish with the oil supply stuff, like I said, the pressure sensor, the oil supply line, get this gasket changed out on that solenoid. Hopefully there's nothing else wrong with that solenoid. This car was in a rusty spot, so the inside is pretty clean. The valve train actually looks really clean on the inside, but basically anything on the exterior of the engine that could rust had rusted. So yep, I think that's all I got for now. Thanks for checking in. I'll see you next time.